Ow. Once upon a time, I was a barista who consumed around average 6 cups of coffee every single day. Maybe more, but never less. And before you say, hey, Stefania, that sounds wildly unhealthy. Yeah, you're right, it is. So take it from me. Here's why you shouldn't do that. Here's why you shouldn't drink coffee. You see, coffee is a natural stimulant. It contains caffeine. Caffeine is a central nervous system stimulant. When the nervous system becomes overstimulated, it can lead to a bunch of physiological and psychological effects, including but not limited to increased heart rate, anxiety, elevated blood pressure, muscle tension, digestive issues, to name a few. Later in the video, I'm really gonna expose myself on that last point. Now, something that baristas and coffee-related employees can all agree on is that when you're exposed to coffee all day, every day, and it's relatively accessible, it's kind of hard to look away. Experimenting with different coffee beverages is kind of the name of the game. And when a customer rejects or refuses a coffee beverage for whatever reason, mistake, they decided they didn't want it, whatever, more often than not, that rejected coffee beverage is gonna be ending up in some barista's tummy. Baristas are many things, but at least we are not wasteful. Coffee is a wonderfully delicious and balanced beverage if done right. However, a large demographic of people out there only consume coffee for its caffeine-bearing purposes. After almost 5 years of consuming an absorbent amount of espresso and coffee every day, I'm here to say, don't do that. Once again, consider this a cautionary tale. Raise your hand if you have anxiety. Raise your hand, don't lie. Did you know that coffee has the ability to heighten anxiety? If you're somebody that enjoys a cup of anxiety with a side of coffee every morning, you might want to consider maybe not doing that anymore. Caffeine is responsible for blocking certain neurotransmitters in our bodies that promote relaxation and sleep, and instead stimulates other neurotransmitters such as dopamine, which gives us that heightened sense of awareness. While in moderation, that may be fine, and that actually may be the goal for a lot of people who are consuming coffee, but more often than not, our brains and our bodies don't really understand the difference between, wow, I'm so awake right now, and anxiety. This is why a lot of people who consume many cups of coffee in a given day usually appear jittery or restless. It's because their nervous system is like ready to run a mile, and then their brain is like, whoa. Not to mention that consuming coffee later in the day has the capability of keeping you up at night and messing with your sleep schedule. And a lack of sleep usually causes feelings of anxiety or increased stress. If this is something that you experience on the regular, let me give you a piece of advice from a former barista who dealt with this for almost 5 years straight. Come here. Let me give you a good piece of advice here. Stop drinking so much coffee. Perhaps sleeping 8 hours may aid in those energy levels that you feel the need to make up for with coffee the next morning. If you are hell-bent on consuming your cup of joe or multiple cups of joes plural, I would recommend switching over to ordering decaf drip or decaf espresso. Decaf does not mean no caffeine. Decaf just means less caffeine. Try implementing decaf espresso or decaf coffee into your regular cadence or your schedule of coffee, or altogether you can cut back on the amount of espresso that's in your lattes. So instead of getting a grande latte with 2 shots of espresso, maybe you get a grande latte with only 1 shot of espresso in it. And hey, decaf may be what you're looking for. You just might not know it yet. So if you need to take a break from coffee for a while, give your stomach lining a break, tea may be the answer for you. Speaking of stomach lining, it's no secret that coffee on an empty stomach has the capability of stirring the pot down there. It's 9 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, and now you're in the bathroom at the office absolutely blowing it up because somebody didn't have their Nature Valley bar before consuming 4 shots of espresso. I'm looking at you. Coffee in excess in the morning on an empty stomach is one of the main drivers for anxiety and that jittery feeling, but it also causes some gnarly digestive issues as well. All the IBS people just join the chat. No, but really, coffee on an empty stomach can induce heartburn and acid reflux, as well as just give you an upset stomach for the rest of the day. Really exposing myself here, but there was a time when I worked at Starbucks that we had just launched blonde espresso, okay? I was a blonde espresso fanatic when it first came out. It was new, it was shiny, we were all excited about it. One thing about lighter roast coffees and espresso is that it tends to lean more on the acidic side because of the way that the bean is roasted. There was a stretch of time where I was coming into work in the morning, and before I did anything, I would start making myself my morning undertow. And if you don't know what an undertow is, you are severely missing out. But I would make my morning undertow with blonde espresso during that time. Well, more often than not, after consuming my undertow made with blonde espresso, I would find myself in the bathroom, throwing up at 5 in the morning. For a while, I thought that I was allergic to to blonde espresso. But turns out, no. My body was just pissed off at me because I was consuming a highly acidic espresso roast at 4 a.m. with nothing in my stomach and thinking that it was gonna be okay. It wasn't. It was far from okay, actually. Contrary to popular belief, although cold brew has a lot more caffeine content in it, it's actually pretty smooth and lower in acidity. So if the acidity is what is bothering you from coffee, then you might want to think about switching over to a cold brew in the morning. Dark roast coffees are also a great alternative too, because again, the way it's roasted, it's not as acidic as a lighter roast would be. And if all of that persists, then maybe a trip to the doctor is in order. I'm not a medical professional, and that is not medical advice. I am just a barista, so do with that what you will. Don't get into a war with your stomach, because stomach damage sometimes takes a while to reverse. It's also worth noting that excess coffee leads to dehydration, so why don't we talk about that next? No skincare in the world, expensive or not, will be able to save dehydrated skin. Take it from me. When I was drinking a lot of coffee, my skin was breaking out. It was super dry. It wasn't cute, fun, gorgeous. It wasn't glowing. It was dehydrated. And it was because I was behind the counter drinking way too much coffee and not enough water. A good rule of thumb that I've implemented into my life that I recommend you implement into yours is that with every cup of coffee you drink, you should have at least a cup or two of water afterwards. This will ensure, number one, your teeth don't stain, protect your pearly whites. Number two, your stomach won't hate you. And number three, your hair, skin, nails, and vital organs won't hate you either, which is always a good thing. Basically, pretty much every part of your body that requires water to survive, which is like everything, won't hate you. If you drink coffee and then you go to the bathroom and your pee is the color of Velveeta mac and cheese, there is an issue, bestie. While you are sipping coffee, your body is pushing out more water, which is in turn dehydrating you. The last thing that you want to do is pass a kidney stone in a Starbucks bathroom, which yes, I have had managers and coworkers who have had their fair share of kidney stones in our cafe bathroom. You don't want that to be you. It's agonizing, it's painful, it's traumatic for everybody involved, and it's especially traumatic for whoever has to clean up the bathroom after. Don't do that to yourself, don't do it to other people. Last but not least, let's talk about the year 2017, where I absolutely screwed up my stomach and really messed up my appetite for the longest time. All from coffee. Shout out coffee. Coffee, caffeine, is also a natural appetite suppressant. That's because the caffeine is stimulating your central nervous system, which is pushing around dopamine all over your body, which is killing your appetite. Now, some of you are gonna take that and hear that and be like, ooh, I'm skinny. No. In 2017, that was a year that I was working at Starbucks pretty much all day, every day. And because of that, I was drinking at least 6 cups of coffee every single shift. My appetite was pretty suppressed all day. And when I was on shift, when I would go to eat, it would usually be like a breakfast sandwich or a protein box, something small. And I really wouldn't eat much after I got home from my shift either. It wasn't healthy. Now, I am somebody that really enjoys ethnic foods. I love Asian food, I love Indian food, I love spicy, flavorful food. Now during this time when I was working at Starbucks, because I was drinking so much caffeine, my appetite was suppressed and I was eating very small portions and not so flavorful food when I was on shift. Anytime that I would not be at work and I would go out to eat, or I would eat something that was a little more spicy, it would wreck my stomach instantly. Whenever I would engage in a large meal, or I shouldn't even say large, a normal proportioned meal for someone of my size, or something with a little more zest, a little more spice, a little more flavor, oh my god, stomach ache. I'm sorry. I know that's a little TMI, but you know I keep it real around here. Anytime that I would eat anything other than a bacon Gouda or a peanut butter and jelly protein box, it was like attack of the Stefania. Like my stomach lining had hands, probably because I wasn't feeding my body water, but you get the point. Don't drink so much coffee that you can't even engage or enjoy foods that you like. Remember, besties, everything in life in moderation, even moderation in moderation. So those are my 4 reasons as to why you shouldn't drink coffee. But come on, did you really think me, of all people, on this channel, did you really think I was gonna convince you to not drink coffee ever again? Come on. I will never discourage you from drinking coffee. However, what I will do is encourage you to drink coffee responsibly and don't drink 6 cups in one day. All right, you guys, be nice to your baristas, stay safe, stay warm, don't pass a kidney stone in a Starbucks bathroom, subscribe to me, and I will see you guys next time. Cheers. And yeah, this is tea, by the way. She follows her own advice. She's not a hypocrite. This is where the video ends.